Hopefully, you guys are doing well. It's Tuesday. We had a very good weekend. Our season has been going so well, obviously, but the transfer window, not yet. We still need a couple of signings, so we still need to talk about that. Our next fixtures are still very tough. We have Man United next. We'll have Man City after that. We'll have Everton, Brentford, Man City again. So we definitely still need to get players in the transfer window. There's still like 2 weeks remaining, so we haven't given hope yet. There's obviously still more players who would want to join Arsenal. Yes, Mudryk did not join Arsenal. Yes, Joao Felix did not join Arsenal, but we are top of the table. Surely there's someone who wants to join Arsenal, and there's someone who's going to join Arsenal. So how are you guys? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully your Tuesday went well. Kelvin, I can see you. Young, I can see you. Kovi, I can see you. Nana, I can see you. Amos, I can see you. Musa, I can see you as well. Thank you for being here. And without wasting any time, let's get into the first piece of news from today, and that is on this guy called Moussa Diaby from Bayer Leverkusen. So he is a winger. Personally, I'd sign a forward player and a midfielder, but you've been linked to a couple of players from different positions. Listen, Atsa knows best, Edu knows best. If they want to get a right back, if they want to get a goalkeeper, up to them, as long as they're going to improve the team, well and good. So according to reports on Moussa Diaby from Sky Germany, Bayer Leverkusen forward Moussa Diaby is a topic at Arsenal. The 23-year-old Frenchman is still under contract with the Bundesliga side until 2025, so the deal should be an expensive deal. So there's a couple of factors that are definitely going to affect us. One of them is Chelsea's owner Todd Boehly spending a lot of money this transfer window. Those guys paid 100 million for Mudryk. They paid like, I don't know, 50 million for a loan deal for Felix. So every single transfer now, it's going to be expensive. Even players for 20 million, they're now going to cost you 40 million. Players for 50 million, they're going to cost you 100 million. And the other thing is, since we offered like 90 million or something for Mudryk and we didn't get him, teams now know that Arsenal have that 90 million. So why would they give us a player for 20 million when they can give us they can ask for 50 million, which they know Arsenal have? So that is another problem. Since we offered Mudryk that money and we didn't get him, every other team knows that Arsenal now have money. They're definitely trying to get more money from us. So from another journalist or from another source, Arsenal have made initial contact with Bayer Leverkusen over Moussa Diaby. Leverkusen do not want to sell mid-season, obviously. Leverkusen were quoting 100 million euros. Literally these days, the cheapest player you can get is 100 million. Like, I blame like Chelsea and Man City for all this. Like every single player like this, and like Moussa Diaby, I've watched him like 4 or 5 times this season. He's not 100 million. He should be like 60 million, but the most. But the transfer market we are in these days, every single player is going to cost you a lot of money. And I think we're at a stage now we probably have to pay. We can't, you obviously have to negotiate, but you can't negotiate all the time, or you can't negotiate to like 50 million. Some players will have to pay a lot of money. Like players like Grealish are being bought for 100 million. So we have to pay money sometimes. And as long as the player is worth it, then it's okay. But since we didn't give 100 million to Mudryk, who was our top target, I really doubt you're going to give 100 million for Moussa Diaby, unless they've seen something and they still think he's a very good player. He can fit. He can help us in terms of wingers. He can help in terms of helping out Saka and also Martinelli. That would be a thing. But 100 million for him, I don't think so, man. I've seen a couple of comments from people saying it's just like Pepe, like you rather bring back Pepe than buying Moussa Diaby. But he fits the bill. He's like 23 years of age. He's a winger. I've been looking for wingers the last 2 years with Rafinha and I think Noah Lang and obviously Mudryk as well. We've been looking for a lot of wingers, so it's likely that we are trying to get backup for Saka and Martinelli. They've been playing a lot of games, especially Saka the last 3 years. I think he's missed like 2 or 3 games, so definitely needs some rest somewhere. But that is the first news today. Moussa Diaby from Bayer Leverkusen, he plays as a winger. They're asking for 100 million. That is mostly because his contract does not expire until like 2025, so he has a long way to go. But this one, I'd be very surprised if Arsenal paid 100 million for him, unless they do some negotiations and we get him for less. But then again, there's this Todd Boehly from Chelsea. I'm pretty sure if we give Moussa Diaby 80 million, Todd Boehly from Chelsea come from nowhere and they'll offer 150 million. I really hate Chelsea, man. I think they should be relegated everywhere, man. They keep disrupting our transfers. But Moussa Diaby is the first player from today. Make sure to hit the like button as well. Let me know which players you want at Arsenal, which positions you want. The second piece of news is Leandro Trossard. He can also play as a winger, can play as a forward player. This is the one I'd definitely go for because it's cheaper. Now, according to the latest, the last couple of days on Leandro Trossard, 90 Min understands Arsenal have explored a possible move for Brighton's Leandro Trossard, who is seen as a more attainable target than Mitoma, who is also of interest. Arsenal are also monitoring Napoli sensation Kvaratskhelia. So Trossard's contract actually expires at the end of the season. So we have the option of waiting until the end of the season to buy him for free, to get him for free. But we don't want to wait until the end of the season. We are fighting for the title right now. We want players like this right now. And as of now, he can cost like 25 million. This is a player I'd definitely go for. Premier League experience. He plays for a very good Brighton side. A Brighton side that knows how to play football, just like Arsenal. I can say, apart from Man City, I think Brighton is the closest side that plays football like us, like the passing, the quick football, quick creation of chances. I think Brighton, he can definitely fit in well at Arsenal, and is also versatile. He can play as a left back, he can play as a left wing back, as a left winger, right winger, as a forward player, and as I say, Premier League experience. The only thing is, I think he's 29. I think he's turning 30 next year. Now, recently, we've not been signing a lot of players who are old like that. Like these days, 25 is old. Like we sign players 22, 23 years of age, sometimes 19 and 18. So I don't know if Arsene Edu are going to go for him at that age. Listen, if you can get him like on a 2-year deal, that would be great. Even if you can get him on a loan, I'm not sure they're going to give him out on a loan, especially because his contract ends at the end of the season. But if you can even get him for a 2-year contract, that would be great. This is the player I'd definitely go for if we can get him. But also Tottenham want him, but any player in his right mind right now, if you're to choose between Arsenal and Tottenham, if you're to choose Tottenham, I'd really look at you and be like, why would you choose Tottenham? Man, that team is on a downward spiral. You definitely need to join Arsenal. So Trossard and also Moussa Diaby. Now, both of them are wingers, or both of them can play as wingers. Moussa Diaby plays mostly as a winger. Trossard can play different positions. I don't think you'd get both of them. So if you're to get a cheaper player, I'd get Trossard. On that piece of news as well, they quoted a couple of other players, Mitoma and also Kvaratskhelia. Now, if you've watched Brighton the last couple of weeks, this guy, especially when he played them, oh my goodness, this guy gave us a tough game. When they eliminated us from the Carabao Cup, he was very good that day. And also when he went to Brighton at the end of December, that day, like I think he scored. And also he actually scored the third goal as well before it was disallowed. If that goal stood, that could easily have been 4-4. So Mitoma is a very good left winger. But I don't see a player like this being sold in the middle of the season. But listen, if you can get a player like Trossard right now, get 2 or 3 players right now, try and win the league. Even if you finish second in the league and try and win the Europa League, we've gone up in our potential right now. We've gone up in what we're expecting in the table, in the other competitions. Our level has gone up. If you get, let's say you win the league, you see players like Mitoma, if you ask them to come to Arsenal at the end of the season, every one of them would want to join Arsenal. And there's another player who's being quoted in that article, Kvaratskhelia. My goodness, if you follow Serie A, Napoli have been unbelievable this season. I think they scored 5 goals against Juventus the other day. They scored 4 against Liverpool in the Champions League, 4 or 5, I don't even remember, but Kvaratskhelia has been really good for them this season. This is a player you'd have to pay 100 million. So if you can finish the season on a high note and try and win the league, and then you attract players like this, we are not just going to win the league this season. We are going to plan to win the league next season, and the next season, have a 10-year, like Man City have been dominating for the last 7 years or something. We want to be the same as well. We just don't want to fight for the title this season and then next season you're fighting for 5th and 6th. No, we want it to keep going. Saka is growing, Martial is growing, Odegaard is growing, and then we are also growing in terms of our potential, in our ability. We can attract players like Kvaratskhelia and Mitoma at the end of the season. So that is also a good thing. But for January transfer window, I don't think we can sign Kvaratskhelia and Mitoma, especially not Kvaratskhelia. Napoli could easily win the Champions League this season, so I don't see a reason why he should be leaving Napoli at all. But those are 2 players we should be keeping an eye on. And also Declan Rice. This is another player we can hopefully get at the end of the season. He's definitely not going to come in January, but at the end of the transfer window, this is the third player we can be looking at the end of the season. Just imagine you sign Declan Rice and you also sign Kvaratskhelia. Like, that would just be crazy. But that's for the end of the season. Next up, let's talk about a right back. Arsenal will be linked to a right back. We do love right backs, man. Like, we have so many. We've even turned centre backs to right backs, like Ben White. Cedric is still at Arsenal. Tomiyasu is still at Arsenal. But we're being linked to another one. This time, we're being linked to this guy who plays for Valladolid. Arsenal have serious interest in Ivan Fresneda. They have joined the race for the Spanish right back. So I'm not sure you really need a right back. With Tomiyasu, with Ben White, and even with Cedric in the team as well. I know Cedric might leave this transfer window, but I don't think we should be getting a right back unless he's actually 18 years of age. So whenever we go for players like this, they usually turn up to be great. Like players like Martinelli went for them when they were very young. So if you can spot a talent very early before Chelsea remove their money, that would be great as well. But this is a right back we've been linked to. I'm not sure you really need a right back, but if it's cheap, they want like 8 or 9 million. That is very cheap. If I can get him for that kind of price, then why not? But I don't think we should be concentrating on right backs at the moment. I think we should be going for other positions, especially midfield and also a forward player. But this is another one we're keeping an eye on. I'd not be surprised if we get this one done. He plays in Spain, has connections there. Edu has connections there, and he's also very cheap, and he's also very young. The kind of player Arsenal is looking for at the moment, and he might be versatile as well. I don't know much about him like I do about the likes of Moussa Diaby, but if you hear anything about him, anything more, we're definitely going to talk about him. Next up, those are the three players we'll be linked to today, but we also need to keep our good players. And one of them is William Saliba. What's the latest on him? So we actually gave him a contract that was rejected according to reports. We offered him a contract that was rejected, unfortunately. I'm so happy this guy came back to Arsenal, by the way, but we need to keep him at Arsenal. Arsenal step up talks with William Saliba of a long-term contract. The latest offer was rejected, but further conversations planned next week with the willingness on all sides to extend. So he definitely wants to extend. I don't see why Saliba would not want to stay at Arsenal. Like any of you, if you are players at Arsenal right now, you definitely want to stay at Arsenal. Like teams are actually very jealous at how good the connection is at Arsenal right now. I saw Arteta hugging Ketia the other day. Players are all getting along. We don't have all these troubles we used to have back in the day, like Aubameyang is not getting along with Arteta, or Ozil does not want to play, or Unai Emery does not want to play Ozil. All that stuff, we don't have it at Arsenal right now. Like everyone is enjoying themselves. Even Ketia settled in well. Xhaka's gotten his second chance as well. Saliba is back. He loves Arteta. Arteta loves him back. Not like used to be 2 years ago. But you need to keep players like Saliba. Also, in terms of more news on Saliba, Saliba did say, I am so happy here at Arsenal. The club is speaking with my agent and me on a new contract. The only thing I can do is focus on my football, but I'm really so happy here. Now, admittedly, Gabriel and Saliba have made a couple of mistakes this season. If they didn't, we could easily have considered 0 goals this season. That's how good they are. Like we've considered 14 goals this season. We've gone to Chelsea, kept a clean sheet. We've gone to Tottenham, kept a clean sheet. We've gone to Brentford, kept a clean sheet. We've beaten teams like Liverpool. We've beaten all these guys. We've only lost 1 game this season. And the games we lost in the Europa League against PSV and also against Brighton in the Carabao Cup, we did not play Ben White, Saliba, and Gabriel together. You need to keep players like this. We have a very good defensive record. We're in the midway stage of the season, and if we add another 14 goals on top of that, that means we concede less than 30 goals in the campaign, which should be great. And one of the main reasons is because Saliba returned to Arsenal and he settled in very, very well. So we definitely need to give him a new contract. I don't know how much he'd be offered. Would you guys be willing to give him like 150 million? 50 million, goodness. If we gave him 150 million per week, we'd go broke. 150 million. Why do I keep on saying million? Listen, he's definitely worth 150 million in the transfer market, but the money you should be paying him per week, would you pay him 150,000 per week, or do you think that is too much money? You should be offering like 90,000, 100,000. I don't think he's one of those players who would want a lot of money, but since we are hearing that the first offer was rejected, we don't know how much that was. So you never know. It could be 100,000 that they reject, but that he and his agent rejected. So whatever happens, though, we need to keep him at Arsenal no matter what. If you can have Saliba and Gabriel playing together for the next 7-8 years, you see all these jokes about Arsenal not winning the Champions League, Arsenal not winning the Premier League for 19 years or something. They won't be making those jokes about us in the next 5 years. We'll win the Champions League twice, win the Premier League 3 times. If you can keep all these guys at Arsenal, things would look good. Like, we've had a problem with centre backs for very many years. Koscielny and Vermaelen were okay for like a season. Koscielny and Mertesacker were okay for like a season, but we've not had someone like Gabriel and Saliba, that kind of defense centre backs, both with pace, both can do everything on the pitch. Fantastic. So Saliba's contract situation, that is how it is. I'm not sure we need to sell anyone in this transfer window, but there's news on Cedric Soares as well. Maybe this is why we are looking at a right back. Fulham are in discussions with Cedric Soares over personal terms. What's up with Fulham buying Arsenal players every single transfer window? After Arsenal gave him permission to speak to the club, Fulham will try to seal a deal with Arsenal should they agree terms with the player. So I hope it's not like 15 or 16 million from Fulham for Leno, and they ended up wanting to pay us like 6 million or something stupid like that. Hopefully they can pay the money for Cedric. Maybe this is why you want a right back, but listen, I don't think Cedric has been the worst Arsenal player ever. No, we've definitely had, like I can mention for you, 10 worse players than Cedric. I think he's served well. And I actually saw a story the other day, like a 1-hour documentary, and I did not believe how good he is in terms of helping the dressing room. Like, every single player says he's like a coach. Like, he's one of those players who, you look at him like Arteta, like in the future, Cedric will be a coach, and every single player is talking like that about him. They're like, he actually did he's actually been learning with Mertesacker, and also, is it Xhaka? I think it's Xhaka, him and Mertesacker together. Mertesacker's been helping them in terms of learning a few things about coaching and stuff. So Cedric is one of those players. He's like El Neni. He doesn't even have to play. I think he's comfortable with just being in and around the team and also helping the young players. And also players like Fabio Vieira, who are Portuguese, and young players from Brazil who speak Portuguese as well. Cedric definitely helps them. So he's a good person to have in the dressing room. So he might not be the best right back, but he definitely helps in terms of the dressing room. So I would not mind keeping him in the team until the end of the season. Depending on how much Fulham wants to pay us, then that's good. But Cedric, I think, is the only player who's been linked to the move away. Marquinhos might still end up going out on loan, but you don't know much about that at the moment. If we get a winger, then someone like Marquinhos could be going out on loan. And also Albert Sambi Lokonga, let's wait to hear the latest on him as well. But I don't think we'll get rid of any of these players. I also don't think we need to get rid of any of these players. I think they can just stay and help out in the FA Cup or something. We don't know if you're going to be in the FA Cup. If Man City eliminates us, it's just the Europa League and Premier League. I want us to beat Man City in the FA Cup, but I really love the FA Cup. Every Arsenal fan loves the FA Cup, but if we go out, I think this is the one season that I really don't mind if we go out of the FA Cup. I really want us to focus on the league and the Europa League. But listen, it's not that time yet. We can still beat Man City in the FA Cup and try and win that as well. Imagine in the Premier League, Europa League, that would be crazy. So that is the latest. Let me do a recap before I come to your comments. So the first one was Moussa Diaby. According to reports, Arsenal have made initial contact with Bayer Leverkusen over Moussa Diaby, but Leverkusen are talking about 100 million. That is the cheapest you can get these days. You're going to have to pay a bit of money. So he's a winger. But if you want a cheaper alternative, there's talks about Trossard as well. Trossard's contract expires at the end of the season, so he is cheaper. They're talking about 20 million. And we also are keeping an eye on Mitoma and Kvaratskhelia from Napoli. Very good wingers for sure. We also have an eye on this right back, Ivan Fresneda as well. He's 18 years of age. Maybe this is because we could be getting rid of Cedric Soares to Fulham. So just in case Tomiyasu gets injured or something, or Ben White is needed back at centre back or in midfield, then we'll have a backup right back in the team. And also Saliba, in terms of contract situation, the negotiations are going on. The first offer was denied by him and his agent, but he wants to stay at Arsenal. So if we offer more money and good terms and everything, they should agree to join and to stay at Arsenal, which would be great. So that's the latest. Let me see what you guys are saying. Hope your Tuesday has been going well. Nasri, what a name, by the way. That's the worst name to have as an Arsenal fan, by the way. But maybe that is your actual name. Arsenal board needs to invest big in the team. That is very true. Sometimes you have to pay the money. to get quality players. Kovi says Diaby is another Pepe. Kovi is not having that. He's not having the Diaby talk. I don't know, man. Pepe turned out to be a disappointment. Let's be honest. He's not really an Arteta player. Maybe if Emery stayed on, you'd have fit in perfectly with him, but Arteta didn't really want him at Arsenal. But I wouldn't go as far as saying he's another Pepe. But listen, if you ask me Diaby or Trossard, I'd go for Trossard. Let's see. Moussa says soon Chelsea will come for them if they want to sign, do it right now. Hopefully, we have an eye on other players that we've not talked about. I'm hoping Arsenal can sign someone from the blue without, no pun intended, by the way, because Chelsea love taking our players. Hopefully, we can sign a player out of the blue like Tielemans. Let's say tomorrow, just here, Arsenal have signed Tielemans from nowhere, thinking we are not going to go for him anymore, and then we sign him from nowhere, because the moment we start saying we want Tielemans again or anyone like that, Chelsea will come in for them. Amos from Liberia, thank you for being here. Hillary says I no longer trust Arsenal, and Arsenal need to change the fake negotiator. I think the thing with Arsenal at the moment, they do mostly, if we value you at 70 million, the most you can go to is 80 million. I think they're not the type to. I rather have people like Edu in the team who know how to do negotiations than someone like a Todd Bowley who'll just pay 200 million for whichever player. Because Chelsea are signing players, yes, but I can believe me, I can assure you, like in the next 1 year, Modric will be leaving there. They already want to sell Sterling, you know. They do not have a plan at Chelsea at all in terms of signing players. They signed Aubameyang. He's sitting on the bench. They do not even want him there. They bought Sterling. They already want to sell him as well. We can go on. Lukaku, Chukwuemeka, all these guys at Chelsea, they've been bought. None of them is playing. Some of them are about to be sold already. So you can go that direction of just signing Mudryk, and then after 5 months you want to sell him, or you can have a plan and get in a player who's going to serve you for the rest of for 5-6 years. I actually do trust Edu and in the transfer market, because out of the last 20 players we've signed, at least 16 of them have been pretty good. I mean, look at players like Ramsdale. We were all wrong on Ramsdale. We were all wrong on Odegaard. We were all wrong on Martinelli. We were all wrong on these guys. So let's see how they do. The only issue I'd have is if we don't sign any player at all, because we definitely have to sign a player. Milimo says Moussa Diaby can be a good signing. I like the guy. He's a baller. Christopher says they should put more effort on signing players. We don't want to see Arsenal scouting players for other clubs like what happened to Felix and Mudryk. If you aren't from Brazil, Edu will not come for you, says Tobin. I prefer Mitoma to any other player we are linked to. If you want Mitoma right now, I'm pretty sure they'd say 100 million plus. Like, have you seen how he's been playing this season? Incredible. Moussa Diaby is good, says Yana. I prefer Mitoma, says Thomas. The only team can sell Arsenal a player is Real Madrid. Then we can go and get some players from there. There's a lot of players I'd want from there for sure. Imagine getting Vinicius. Arsenal need to buy players to back up Martinelli, Saka, and Thomas Partey, so the team is good for us. I definitely need a midfielder. Thomas Partey the other day, like, such a good player. There's also this one as is it Wire says Edu should get Zaha or Diaby for us. Zaha is another one who's kind of gone quiet. I think his contract is about to end. I think his contract actually ends at the end of the season. Would you guys still want Zaha at Arsenal? Do you think he's a bit too old, or you don't like him at Arsenal? How are you, Alex? How are you feeling, by the way, Alex? I remember you aren't the biggest fan of Arteta. How are you feeling recently? If Arsenal wanted to win this title, we must buy players to achieve our target. We need to spend a lot of money. I think this is the one time that I definitely need them to spend money. Like, we've not had a good chance like this. This is the most points we've had at this stage of the season in Premier League history. We have never had 47 points after 18-19 games. Never. Even in the Invincible season, we had fewer points than right now. That's how good you have been this season. We've only drawn, how many games have we drawn? 2? Newcastle and Southampton, right? We've not drawn any other game, have we? And we've lost to Man United. every other game we've won, home and away, and most of them have just been comfortable 3-0, 5-0, 3-0, 2-0, 3-0. Like, this has been such a good season all round. How are you doing, IK? Thank you for watching us always. Mitoma is a player that fits Arsenal, says Jones. I agree with that. Uma says 100k for Saliba should be good. Trossard, he deserves 150k a week, says Guinea-Bissau. So the other thing that Edu and have done is to reduce the wages at Arsenal. They've done so well with that. On there's a time we were giving Pepe like 175,000 per week or something. Ozil, his money. Aubameyang 300k or something. Like, we've been paying a lot of players a lot of money. Recently, it's gone down. Players that deserve that kind of money at Arsenal are players like Saka, Martinelli, and Thomas Partey, and players like that. Arsenal needs defensive midfielders in the absence of Partey, says Steven. If you can get someone to back up Partey, that would be so good, man. Anyone even close to Partey, that would be perfect. I know Arsenal, they will keep on looking for players, but they cannot sign any player, says Ibrahim. Ibrahim is not confident at all. Mitoma is the player we need at Arsenal. He's a brand new engine that starts immediately and ready to run, says Jones. Thank you, Danny. Abraham says Arsenal should sign Torres. You're talking about Barcelona's Torres, Ferran Torres. We've been linked to him for a couple of years now, I think, since he was at Man City. I don't know. I don't think he's done that well at Barcelona so far. But Barcelona, to be fair, in the last 2 years, they've struggled. But if you can get him and he can fit in at Arsenal, great. Please bring Trossard, says Clifford. William says Trossard is the best option in the meantime. In the summer, Arsenal should sign Coman of Bayern. Coman would be great. I think Coman has already won the title in like 3 countries. Juventus, PSG, Bayern. Is full of experience and he's very young as well. Let's see. He depends how you look at it, Herbert. You can look at it that way as Arsenal being lazy, but you can also look at it as Arsene Edu trying to be totally perfect. So it depends on how you look at it. I don't think this is the time to get it 100% perfect. You just need to get a couple of players who, the thing with Arteta is, and they're trying to get people who are definitely fitting at Arsenal. Like Messi could be available today and Mitoma could be available today, but if they don't fit the Arsenal model, they're not going to sign them. They rather wait for the player from Real Sociedad or another player from Real Madrid, another player from Bologna, if they fit at Arsenal. I don't really mind that. I think we've built a very good team, to be honest. So if we can get more players like that, imagine getting another Odegaard, getting another Saliba, getting another Zinchenko. That would be great. We have to, Isaac. We have to. But then again, we don't know. But I think we have to, man. We are 8 points clear on the table. I think like if you get 2 players this transfer window, 2 good players, I think you certainly get that Premier League title, and that would be big, man. None of us expected Arsenal to win the title this season. We want to win the EPL, says David. Yana is happy with Moussa Diaby. Emmanuel wants Trossard. Francis Trossard and Diaby 50-50 for Arsenal. I think you can only get 1. I don't think you can get 2. I actually think we might get 1 and then another player on loan. I wouldn't mind that as well. Arsenal board need to invest big. After Mudryk, which player Arsenal have so made an official offer? We are offer not yet, but we are looking at Moussa Diaby at the moment. Arsenal should sign players from England like Trossard or Zaha, says Emmy. Trossard could be the big best option, says Isaac. Leroy Sané, that is definitely not going to happen in January, maybe at the end of the season, or mostly because they're in the Champions League and we are not. So I don't think it's easy for a player to leave a Champions League team to come to a Europa League team at the moment. But at the end of the season, if we win the league this season, then you can attract players like that. I pray for Arsenal to not play Saliba and Thomas. I guess you're saying about injuries, Saliba and Thomas Partey. We definitely need to keep everyone fit. If you can keep everyone fit, just look at the difference we've made keeping everyone fit, especially Martinelli, Saka, and Thomas Partey. We are doing good. Last question, how many players do you think we need this transfer window? We only have 14 days, so let's be a bit realistic. I know teams like Chelsea can sign 7 players in January, but we're not really that kind of team. So we have to go according to the Arsenal model, and a model that has been working the last couple of years. So How many players do you think we need? Personally, I think midfielder and a forward player could be enough for us. I don't really mind that. And any of these players, we've been linked to Trossard, we've been linked to Diaby as well. We've also been linked to Rafinha once again, and also Fresnedo's a right back. There's also a couple of others that could be tough to get, but we just have to keep an eye on for now. And also in terms of selling players, I don't think we will sell players. And also, as I told you last time, I think they're looking at Smith Rowe as a new signing. We've gotten Smith Rowe back from injury. It's almost like a new signing. If Smith Rowe can be fit totally, you remember he can also help out Martinelli on that left wing and also Odegaard in the number 10 position. 2 says Emmanuel. Amos says 2 as well. Herbert says currently we're blindfolded with the performance and majority of our players are fit and it's going to be a busy schedule with Europa League coming week in, week out. You should get Tielemans, Trossard. Those are 4 players, Herbert. There's no chance of getting 4 players, but I know what you mean. There's a lot of competitions to go. So sorry, I said last question, but since Herbert has brought that up, let's say we get to April, we are still in the Europa League, let's say quarterfinal or something, and we are still top of the table. Would you be willing to just you rather get eliminated from the Europa League and focus on the league, or do you want to go for both? Play every single player on that Thursday in the Europa League and play every single one of them in the league. What do you think of that? Do you think we need to win the Europa League this season? If you're still top of the table by April, would you rather just do away with the Europa League and focus on the league, or what would you do? Remember, if you win the Europa League, you get a European trophy and you obviously qualify for the Champions League. But if you're top of the table by then, you're definitely going to get into the Champions League. We need a midfielder, says Eva. I prefer Premier League players. We need to cover for players like Partey and Saka. This is our time for glory. I think we add in midfield and a forward. We need 3 players. We need at least a midfielder and a left winger. I do want a midfielder and kind of a forward player who can also play as a left winger, right winger. 2 players below 50 million, says Francis. Francis doesn't even want to spend a lot of money. We can get anyone for less than 50 million, a couple of players. Francis would do great work with Edu. If you tell people like Edu, less than 50 million, 2 players, they'd absolutely love you. They love the cheap players who can be great in the future. Ali says 3, David says 3, Samuel says 2. Risky says Arsenal business is very slow. We have to Orlando City, Torres. We need 4 good players, says Christopher. We still have Tomias. We don't need the right back now. We need a winger and a midfielder. So most of you want wingers and midfielders. I put a poll on YouTube asking which player do you prefer between Moussa Diaby and Trossard. Also, if you're watching on Facebook, let me know Trossard or Moussa Diaby. Moussa Diaby 100 million, or would you rather bring in Trossard for 25 million? Who would you rather get in? For me, I'd go for Trossard for that kind of money. Saka replacement, Saka backup. Let's not use the word replacement. Saka cannot be replaced. Saka backup and Partey and Martinelli. 2 players under 50 million, says Kehinde. 2 players, says Sam. 3, says Hillary. Also need to sign a new striker to back up Nketiah, says Idris. Times have changed. We now need players to back up Nketiah, not Nketiah to back up the players. I'm so happy for him, though. He's been doing really well. I was so happy to see the way he was hugging Ateta the other day. It made me so happy. If we have to be positive, Conte. We have to be positive. I don't think we are going to sign players this January transfer window. I think we have to. I think it would be last January transfer window. I say the same thing. I think we have to get players. But at that time, we were 6th or something. This time, we are top of the table. Unless they look at it like we don't need players, we're top of the table. But I'm sure they know. Last season, what cost us is Thomas Partey and Tomiyasu getting injured in a very crucial time. We didn't get top 4. This time, we have to get players, man. We have to get players. How are you, Alex, man? It's nice seeing you. Good evening. What have you made of Arsenal's season so far, man? Trossard is, I prefers Trossard. Samuel as well prefers Trossard. We need 2. Anthony says 3 players would be great. So I asked on YouTube, who should Arsenal sign? 55% are saying Moussa Diaby, 45% are saying Leandro Trossard. So most of you guys on Facebook are saying Leandro Trossard. So if you can get any, I'm just happy. If you can get players to help out Saka, because if you get, let's say, Trossard, you now have Trossard, Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Marquinhos, you have Saka, you have Odegaard, you have Fabio Vieira. That should be good. Trossard as well from me. How are you, Junior? I like Moussa Diaby, but our budget cannot allow it. Now, I think Moussa Diaby is like 60 million, but since they've seen us offering 90 million for Mudryk, they know Arsenal have the money and they're trying to bully us into paying that money. Another reason why I don't mind the slow transfers sometimes and trying to negotiate. Over the last 7 years, Arsenal has been bullied a lot in the transfer market, a lot. Like I remember when Ramsey left Arsenal on a free, the very next season, Juventus tried to sell him to us for like 25 million. That is absolutely disrespectful. We've been like Pepe 72 million. They ate our money basically that time as well. We couldn't sign players in the transfer market because we were not doing well. We let so many of our players go on a free. We never got anything for Mkhitaryan. We didn't get anything for Ozil. We didn't get anything for Kolasinac, for Mustafi, for Socrates, for Ramsey, for Sanchez. Like all of those players left on a free. We've been bullied a lot in the transfer market. So if they have a stand, we don't want to pay 100 million. Great. We can't be allowed to be bullied every single time. I know you guys want us to spend money like Chelsea, but as I told you, it's not been working for Chelsea. They've just signed Aubameyang and Sterling and they want to sell them. They'll want to sell Mudryk by next season. That's just how Chelsea is. Chelsea are ready to buy players for 200 million and then sell them right away. We are not that kind of player team, really. How far is the deal for Trossard and Rice? Rice cannot happen right now. Maybe at the end of the season. They are 18th on the table. They're definitely not going to sell Rice. And then Trossard, we have to keep an eye on them. But Trossard will leave Brighton, so we have a chance with that one. Miracle says we lose Felix and Mudryk. We need to sign players this transfer window. Trossard, Torres, and Tielemans. If you can get Trossard and Tielemans, that would be absolutely perfect, man. Premier League experienced, cheap. But then again, both of their contracts are ending at the end of the season. So will they look at it like we don't need to spend that money? Let's wait for them to be on free. We need Trossard because it's very strong. I want to know that what FA have said about the Spurs fan did to Ramsdale. I actually just saw that he's a 35-year-old man. It's crazy. The guy who kicked Ramsdale, he's 35 years of age. He's a grown man as well. I think he's been arrested today, so that is good. You know what they should do to him? They should punish him by giving him tickets to go and watch every single Tottenham game. That's how to punish him. Tottenham plays some really boring football. So that's how you should punish him. Send him to every single Tottenham game for free. Let him stay there and watch them until the 90th minute. Punish him. Send him to watch those Tottenham games and then arrest him for 30 years after that. Or arrest him for 16 years, the same number of years they've gone without a trophy. That would be perfect. If I was the judge, I'd do that. Proud of this team beating the Spurs, a clean sheet as well, away from home as well, man. First time since 2014. I'm happy for my Arsenal, the way performing and the players we're signing, not too expensive, but performing well. There's that as well, Isaac. We don't really have to sign players for 300 million to get quality players. Right now, if I ask you between Odegaard, Antony, and Grealish, who's better? It's Odegaard. Odegaard cost us 35 million and the other two players cost them 100 million. You don't really have to spend a lot of money. Walker, Man City signed Walker for like 50 million. We signed Tomiyasu for like 20. Tomiyasu's been doing really good for us. We don't have to spend a lot of money. Cucurella was signed for more money than Ben White. Who is better right now? Ben White. So it's about quality, not how much you can spend. Canon Fodder says, do Arsenal need to buy a striker in this window? Yes, I think we do. I think we do need to sign a striker who can play as a left wing and a right wing as well, not just a striker, unless we are getting someone like a Giroud, not Giroud exactly, someone who can play as a Giroud, the player who you can bring on for the last 20 minutes and just if the game is getting so hard, you can bring them on for the last 10 minutes and just put in crosses. Giroud used to be very good with that. I remember when he drew 3-3 with Bournemouth, Giroud had in the last minute. I remember when he played against Man United at Old Trafford a couple of years ago, 1-1, Giroud last-minute header. If you can get a player like that, Man United got a player like that, very good. If you can get a player who's just tall and can help you as a backup for the last 20, 30 minutes, that would be great. But if you're not going for that kind of player, just someone who can play as a left winger, right winger. So forward player and a midfielder, that is what I'd go for. I don't think we need defenders or anything like that. We can also make our own players, says Paul. We can, but at the moment, I'm sure people really want to sign players because you're going for the title. Like, we've never been this close for like 20 years. So I do understand why. I'm really happy for the Gunners, the way we've been performing, how I wish we'll take the league this season. And the rival fans are hating it. That is why I love it, man. Those guys, the Gary Nevilles, all of them, Roy Keanes, all of those guys, they do not want to see Arsenal top of the table, and that is why I love it. Like, they're not happy to see their team spending 400 million and not doing well, and Arsenal spending basically less than 100 million sometimes, and sometimes spending 10 million on players, and you're doing better than them. It's great. It's very, very good. Let's see. Signing big players with big money won't perform very well. That is true, Samuel. You don't have to. Sometimes it can work. You can sign big players, big money, and they work for you, but you don't have to do that. Yusuf says Arsenal are a kindergarten club. They can't sign professional players. I have a question for you, Yusuf. Which position is Arsenal on the Premier League table? Is it working? Yes, that is all that that is all that needs to happen. As long as it's working, I have no problem. Even if they are signing 13-year-old players, if they can do the job, I have no problem with that. Mentality, players who do not need to flex money. Not that it's a bad thing to buy cars if you have the money now, but they want players who are going to focus on the pitch, players who are committed on the pitch, players who want to make a name for themselves. I don't mind that as well. These players that we have right now, they're very hungry. All of them want to make names for themselves. So that if you can also sign a player who's 29 who's already won everything, like Willian, he doesn't really need anything at all. I really love this performance we are having right now in any game in the first half, but you have to continue that same energy in the second half of play. For the Tottenham game, I don't mind it. You get your goals in the first half, in the second half, you play professional. You don't commit players and get counter-attacked by Son and Kane. That is what they're looking for. Maybe some other games, yes, but also remember, you cannot dominate games for 90 minutes. I think Arsenal have dominated majority of the games this season. I also don't have a problem with that. I think we've gone to Tottenham, we've gone to Chelsea, and you've dominated the games. So you cannot dominate it for 90 minutes. You do expect teams like Tottenham to have 25, 30 minutes that are good for them. How far with Gabriel Jesus? I had around 14th, 15th February there. So let's hope he can return soon. He will definitely miss like 6-7 more games. We need the right players. That's the word, Lee. Right players. We just don't need expensive players. Right players. We need to reinforce our bench. We have more game to play, and the table race is far from over. We might sign at least 2 players, says John. I agree with that. Arsenal really need players, even if Saliba gets injured and Thomas Partey. Look at Man City's bench. We need players. We definitely need players on the bench, for sure. But there's a couple of positions where I think Man City could struggle as well. If Rodri got injured today, I don't think Calvin Phillips is the same. But yes, they definitely have a better squad depth than ours. But Man City are struggling to create chances, surprisingly. Like, if you listen to their fans, they are definitely not happy. If you can get one defensive midfield and a winger who can play left and right, we'll go for Smith Rowe. Will obviously feel like a new signing. We have missed him so much, so much, man, so much. Smith Rowe, he was our second top scorer last season, and he was a top scorer for most of the season. He scored big goals against Chelsea, Man United. So I think he will feel like a new signing. Zinchenko, I think his left back needs someone who can put Zinchenko on pressure because he normally makes mistakes. We already have a backup left back in Tierney, and yes, I saw him giving away the ball a couple of times against Tottenham, but I can say the same thing about every single player. Ramsdale has given away the ball a couple of times. Saliba has given away 2-3 goals. Gabriel has given away 2-3 goals. Those mistakes will happen with all those young players, so they can't be perfect, all of them. But I don't think our defenders are the problem right now. I really don't. If they can get a backup center back on loan or something, if they don't trust Holding, fine. But I don't mind Zinchenko. And the way Zinchenko plays, Zinchenko doesn't push forward on the left side, like he cuts in into midfield. You can't really get a lot of players who can do that. Our players will work well. Players will work well, let them for Chelsea. I'm not sure that means we need a clean sheet against Man United this weekend, says David. I need like a 10-0 win. I don't like them at all. We need a strong bench like Manchester City, says Elvis. Do we have a Xhaka replacement in case of injury? I'm not wishing so, but I think we have to. Now for the Xhaka position, I think we have players who can play there. I think you can have both Fabio Vieira and Odegaard. The thing that I don't like is when you play Fabio Vieira and Lokonga, the midfield becomes a bit too weak. But if you have Partey and Fabio Vieira and Odegaard, that is fine. But you can't play El Neni, Fabio Vieira, and Lokonga. That is suicide. You have to mix it up. So if you play Partey, Fabio Vieira, and Odegaard, that is fine. I think now Smith Rowe is back. He can also play in that position a couple of games. If you have to push Zinchenko to midfield, that is fine. If you have to turn to a 4-2-3-1 for one game, that is fine. And Xhaka is Xhaka as well. I know you say we are wishing not, but he doesn't get injured at all. So I don't think that is our main issue at the moment. Our team is much more better now. We need replacement for injury purpose. We are not competing for the top 4 anymore. We want to win the EPL this time round, says Abdul. Eugene says we need to spend on this transfer. We want to win the league. Football has gone mad. Now everyone wants to spend 100 million on their players. It's mad, says Lee. I don't think everyone wants to spend 100 million, but every team wants to get 100 million for their players. I'm telling you, if Mudryk has gone to Chelsea for 100 million, I think we can get 200 million for Odegaard. I think we can get 150 million for Martinelli. I think we can get 300 million for Saka. If those are the prices people are paying, I think we have a very expensive team then. I don't think even players like Partey right now, you're going to pay 90 million for him if you want him. Tillemans says, Samuel, if you get Tillemans, he can cover both Partey and Xhaka, so that would be great. Arsenal should go for Phillips. Which Phillips are you talking about? Emmy, which Phillips is that? Are you talking about Phillips from... Is it Man City? Are you talking about that Phillips? So there's a lot of Phillips, so let me know which Phillips you're talking about. If Gunners could win against Manchester United, I think we can have the league. Man United have a game tomorrow. I think they could close the gap to 6 points. But if we win, if they don't win tomorrow and we beat them over the weekend, that's like 13, 14 points. That is bye-bye to Man United. So Man City will be the only challenge. If we beat Man City once, home or away, and these days I'm very confident every single game, by the way. Like, I think we can beat Man City. I think we can be even going to Anfield this time. This will be the very first time that I'm very confident going to Anfield. Like, I think we can beat them, like not 1-0, like 2-3-0. Like, I'm very confident. That's what I mean, says Lee. Mitoma is the right man. We need Trossard. Xhaka is playing maturity game with Thomas, but we need a player like Partey to cover up in order to rest them. Yes, for sure. You need to rest these players, especially Partey and Saka. A few games, you need to rest them. Tillemans can't replace Thomas Partey. Definitely cannot replace him. He can help out Partey sometimes and help out Xhaka majority of the times. He's free in the summer. He's free. We can get him for free at the end of the season. But right now, I think you can get him for like 15, 20 million. Emmy says Phillips of Manchester City. No, thank you, Emmy. No, thank you. This guy is always injured. No, thank you. Like, I think they paid like 60 million for him. I think that I do not know why they signed him. Yes, I know Guardiola loves a midfield player who can pass and everything. But Phillips, Calvin Phillips, no. He gets injured too many times, and I don't think he really fits Arsenal. We need Zaha and Rice, says Eugene. Why Rafinha refused to join Arsenal? He wanted Barcelona, but now he wants to move from... they want to sell him already. We can't say now our defense is okay for now. Let's just try for the midfield. We can't say now our defense is okay. Let's just try for midfield and wingers. Do Arsenal need Rice this summer? For sure. If this season we've done so well that I think next season we will be in the Champions League, hopefully. It would be a disaster if we are not in the Champions League. Let's assume we'll be in the Champions League. You need players like that. If you have Rice, Partey, Xhaka, all these guys in midfield, then you're good. So is Rice a player we need? For Partey competition, I think he can do well. Obviously, he can get cheaper midfielders for sure, but he's Premier League experience and everything. I think he's done well. I've watched some games for West Ham this season. He does very well sometimes, and he's a regular starter for England. Let's go for Declan Rice. That one has to be at the end of the season, not January. Arsenal should bring in Yuri Tillemans and one striker. That I would be happy with. Trossard and Tillemans. Caller says, who are we looking for now? So let's do one final recap and then end it. We will be back tomorrow with another live. So if you're just joining, we talked about Moussa Diaby. Arsenal wants Moussa Diaby. Leverkusen forward Moussa Diaby is a topic at Arsenal. We are keeping an eye on him, but this will be very expensive. Everyone now wants 100 million, as Lee said in the chat. Everyone wants 100 million, but you're keeping an eye on Moussa Diaby, plays the winger. We obviously have our eye on Leandro Trossard as well, who's fallen out with their manager. Their manager actually, interestingly, said that the reason why they've fallen out with Trossard is because he's not training that hard. So if that is the case, and that doesn't like players who don't train that hard, maybe he's not the right fit. But I don't care about players, what has happened to players in other teams. They can still come to Arsenal and be good. And in that same article, they talked about Mitoma and also Kvaratskhelia, but these ones have to be at the end of the season. I don't think we can get them now. We're also looking at this right back from La Liga. It's called Ivan Fresneda. We're looking at him in case we get rid of Cedric, who's being linked to Fulham. We might get rid of Cedric this January transfer window. We're also trying to get Saliba to sign a new contract. And obviously there's Saka and Martinelli, who we are trying to give new contracts to as well. So that is it. Trossard and Diaby says Miracle Trossard. Arsenal, let's see. Is Arsenal considering time really? Says Nelly. Hope so, because we don't have too much time. Mitoma, Diaby, and Zaha, plus we want a gunman who can score goals from headers. So Peniel is looking at what I'm looking at as well. If you can get a striker like if you could get someone like a younger Giroud right now, I'd be so happy, man. So happy. Daba, nice seeing you. Our players like Partey, Xhaka, Saka, Martinelli, Saliba, Odegaard cannot be replaced. That is very true. I can even go as far as saying Ramsdale as well in that list too. Rice may be a nice idea, but I don't think we need him and Zaha. Arsenal should bring in Tielemans and one striker. Get me Tielemans and Trossard, and I'd be a very, very happy person. So let's hope we have some developments by tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Have a good night, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.